Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable right here on Star Nations Organization's main fan page on Facebook. This is a live stream show that's based on the card draw that I do in the morning with divination cards of all different kinds that we've been through in this past year. And the intention is to have a conversation, a spiritual conversation around the divination cards that were drawn. And the intention for the card draw is all about what's important for the energy that's flowing today, that's important for us to know about for our spiritual growth, our soul contract, and hopefully to be able to have some aha moments, some insight, right? And so that's the intention for the live stream show. And I do the show Sunday through Thursday. Yeah, and so Today is August 21st, Wednesday, August 21st. Man, this week is going by fast. It really is. The last time I looked, it was Monday, right? Yeah. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to those that are in the live chat. Thank you so much for being with me this afternoon, or no matter where you're at, because, we're global. Star Nations is a multimedia company that has a global community. And you never know who's going to show up in the chat. Of course, we have lots of people from the United States. We have lots of people from Canada and Mexico. But we also have community members from England and Ireland and Newfoundland and what I'm thinking, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. We reach a lot of people, a lot of souls. And so welcome to everybody that's in the live chat. And those that'll be watching the recorded show, the recorded live video, thank you so much for making time in your day to watch the recorded show. We do appreciate it. If you have anything you'd like to add to the conversation, please do so. Just put it in the comments. If it's something directly to me, then you might want to put a hashtag in there or to tag me with it so that I know that your comment is there, okay? All right. So before we get moving too much further down the road, because, once I start talking, I'll forget, I would like to send, what's the word that Stephanie uses? Spread the seeds over to my news feed for the live stream. And first I'm going to love it, and then I'm going to send it over to my newsfeed. And I invite you to do the same thing. Even if it's to a friend through Messenger, that's really, really good. If you know somebody who is looking for a spiritual conversation or perhaps enjoy the card divination aspect of it, please share the link with them. And I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to send it over to my newsfeed. Just to remind my friends that I'm live streaming. And I do this almost every day, so I have a bunch of quick keys. And then I'm going to ask them to please join us. There we go. And I'll send it over there. And I see that Stephanie is in the house. And so Stephanie, I'm going to leave the rest of the sharing of the show up to you. Thank you so much for helping, by the way. I really do appreciate it. I do all that sprinkling and the spreading, right? Yeah. See, there's Stephanie. She's doing the sprinkling. Thank you. And Rob is Simonizing. It's good. Well, Marie, hello. Good afternoon, Marie. So good to have you here. Uh-oh. Okay, I'll catch the closed group then, at least. And sends our nation. Hello, Judy. Good to have you here. Yep. Well, Zanzibar now, but you left out Argentina. Argentina. That's true. And we do have a few South American countries that people in those countries that also watch our shows as well and read the magazine. So while I'm here, I am going to send the show over to the Star Nations live stream shows closed group. And just to remind the peeps that I'm live streaming. and asking them to please join us. There we go. We'll send it over that way. There. All right. Before we get started, there's something that occurred at the very end of the show yesterday. I said, Mama Mina, and I don't know if you noticed, but it was at the end. It's like I was looking kind of perplexed. It's like, what's going on? All right. So I couldn't, what I normally do is I take my name off the screen and I go into the lobby and into the studio. And then we have this pretty picture, at the very end, right? Couldn't get any of that to work. And I actually tried to log out and wouldn't let me log out, and wouldn't let me end the live stream yesterday. I hit refresh and it gave me an error message. So I contacted Be Live support team. I tell you what, that support team is like the best I've ever worked with, and let them know and gave them a screenshot of the error message. And I would say within 15, 20 minutes, they had it fixed. And so I had to come back into the studio and end the live stream. So at the very end of the show's recorded show yesterday, you're going to have, I don't know, probably a good 20, 30 minutes of blank. And I have to learn how to use the Facebook trimming, their editing tool. I tried to do it and I almost lost the whole live stream. So if you're watching it, thank you so much for watching it. But there is this blank spot near the end. So just so you know that it wasn't us, it wasn't Star Nations, it was Be Live, but they got it fixed. I got it fixed. Yay! All right, and I'm trying to think. There was something else I was going to share with you. Don't remember. Georgie, our year-old puppy, right? He's at daycare today. And when I drove him into town to drop him off, my God, he loves his daycare. He really does. We got close, like within a couple of blocks, and he was already, talking in the back of the car, rah, 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 and I'm going, I'm driving as fast as I can. I'm not going to get a ticket for this. And so we pull up to the building. It's called Doogie's Daycare. And we pulled up to the building. And I tell you what, he was so excited. And it was almost like I'd hear him saying, "Put me in, coach, put me in, coach." And so they put him out into the, because all the other dogs were already outside into their play area. And so he has such a good time there. I know, George is a wonder pup. He really is. He really is. He's a good boy. He's got a new nickname. I call him Sweet Boy, because he is sweet. Okay, let's get to the cards. Now, for those who might not know, we're still using this deck. It's the White Eagle Medicine Wheel deck by Wana Nietzsche. He's the author. He happens to be Native American. His people are both the Lakota and also the Ojibwa. And so we're getting a flavor of both cultures in this. And if you notice on the book, they have Kokopelli. And we've discussed Kokopelli quite a bit from using the Sacred Path cards. And so you kind of know that Kokopelli is a fertility creation demigod, right? Yeah. Kokopelli. He's everywhere. Gotta like him. All right, so here's the first card. I'm going to turn off the crawler because it gets kind of, there we go. All right, so our very first card, kind of interesting. It's owl. Owl. In the background is an owl wing. And in the foreground is beadwork, an image of an owl done in beadwork. It's a medallion. owl. Now, it's very interesting. When I drew this card this morning, actually it jumped right out of the deck. Is owl for me, it's my birth totem, okay? And so the great horned owl has been with me since I took my first breath. And growing up with owl in that way, it's kind of a interesting medicine to carry, especially when you grow up in a culture that has a great fear around owls. Owl for the Ho-Chunk Nation and also for the Potawatomi Nation is an omen about death. And so when we have owl crossing our path, sitting in a tree, outside your house hooting, I tell you what, people there's such a fear around it. And because it's like somebody's going to die, right? And yeah. Now, that's one of those beliefs that I had to sit with for a really long time when I was filtering through my beliefs and what was a truth for me and what wasn't, right? And this was, oh gosh, gonna be close to 20 years ago. And when it came to my birth totem, I realized that the gift that the owl brings to me far outweighs the fear that I grew up with within those cultures, right? Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of fear. One story. This is for, but there's also some truth to it. Is that, any winged ally, a winged relative, is a messenger. So, and actually they all are, right? So the owl, when brings messages, because of their medicine that they carry, of course they would be bringing us information in the future or from the future, okay? Owls, they carry a very wise kind of stereotype too, right? The wise old owl, correct? But because of the way that they fly and they're silent. They're silent in their flight. And so their prey, they don't even know it's coming, that they're going to be the owl's supper or snack until the owl actually is right there on them. And it's the way that their feathers are, they're kind of jagged and they're kind of fluffy along the edge. And so in their flight, that's what makes them silent, right? So it's in that characteristic. So when we see an owl, and if you believe in that belief system, that it's bringing a message of death, then you have to kind of sit back and wait and see who it is, right? Because I tell you, people really freak out. They really do. And I've had that happen to me. An owl flew in front of my car. I think it was 2 weeks. I think it was 2 weeks before my Misho walked on. I had an owl fly right over the top of me one night. I was 17. I had just turned 17, something like that. I was coming out of my grandparents' house. My mom was taking care of my grandfather, my Misha, and I had been there that night, and she had cut my hair. So my hair was kind of wet, right? And she was grumbling to me about going out with wet hair. I was going to get sick. And so anyway, the owl swoops down, and I could feel it, the wind, right? And I didn't know what it was at first. And then I heard it calling. And I thought, oh, okay, And so I went back in the house and I told my mom. And of course, she was all upset. And so anyway, I went home. But 3 weeks later, I got sick. It was my first bout with pneumonia. And it was pretty darn close because it was, they didn't hospitalize me, and they probably should have. But that was my little death. And so there the owl was that, and the owl also showed up about 6 months before my father-in-law walked on. So there is some truth to it, right? But I don't think that it has to be filled with fear. I really don't. I think that they're trying to give us. It's a gift, really, to know, right? Okay, so here with the owl. And that owl face, it's like a barred owl, right? And there is the white owl. That's the one Ho-Chunk word that I'll always remember. It's Hampokska. Hampokska is white owl. And so Hampok, whenever you heard that word in Ho-Chunk, it was like people were not happy. Hampokska. So it's interesting. Anybody in the chat, do you guys, anybody have owl as a birth totem or a power animal, if you know? Because some of the information will be very interesting to you if it is. And it looks like I can't scroll again. Rats. I'm going to refresh my screen, okay? So I'll be gone just for a second, and then I'll be right back. Okay, that didn't take long, did it? And I still can't scroll. Well, that's not nice. I'm going to have to use my phone, which means I'm not going to be able to bring your comments up on the screen, but at least I can read them, okay? So, hey, Christina's here, Christina McClue. Thank you for being here, Christina. Thank you so much. Okay, so here is what the author has to say about owl. If owl has swooped down, you may be sure that you have developed a keen insight. It follows that others may be wary of you because they sense that your sharp gaze and intuition misses nothing. Owl is the messenger of the night realms and deep visions. Take note of your dreams if owl is around you at this time. If you're afraid of the dark, call on owl medicine and look up at the quiet sky on a brilliant starlit night. Some of us say that all humans come from the star nations. Use owl medicine to bring your fears and shadow side out into the light. Our shadow is our greatest gift and nothing to be ashamed of. Use owl medicine and wisdom insight to find out if you have been misusing your power. Remember that all power comes from the Great Spirit as a gift. Yeah. Owl medicine. And I have to tell you that if you carry owl medicine, it's you kind of have like a radar, built-in radar that you can sense when somebody is not being honest with you, right? And it's up to us whether or not we're going to address it or just kind of let it slide, right? I think it depends on the situation. Yeah, I know. There's some people that owl medicine can kind of be disconcerting. Rob says, one or the other. I was gifted the barred owl feather by spirit. Julie insisted it was a Cooper's hawk, but the owner of the property said Cooper's hawks are not native to her property, but barred owls are. Okay. That feels right. Barred owl. And if it was gifted to you, it's definitely a power animal then, right? What's it feel like when you're holding it, Rob? I can actually bring that one up. I don't know. I must have done something when I did my screen refresh. Yeah. Let us know. What does it feel like when it's in your hands? Because if it's an ally for you, um, many times the feather will actually vibrate in your hands. You actually feel like it's alive. Yeah. You can feel the energy. Hi, Christina. Oh my goodness. So there's a couple things in here that jumped out at me when I read it this morning, and I thought, oh, that's very, very interesting. Is that the part that others will be wary of you because of your keen insight, and that's that part about people can sense that you caught on to their fib, right? And sometimes you call them out on it. And so, and I have to say that is true. There's truth to that. And also, the part and this one made me smile. It said that some of us that say that all human beings are from the star nations. So anything with star nations, is near and dear to my heart. And there are many, many creation stories across the indigenous people on Turtle Island, North America, that have in their creation stories that we came from the stars. Right? And that when we walk on, we return to the stars, and that's where our ancestors reside, is in the stars. Yeah. And the other part was that we can use owl medicine to help bring out our shadow self, right? To face our fears and to bring out our shadow side. And so when we're doing that kind of work, that shadow work, we can call on owl medicine for assistance, right? Because they are prime hunters. That's when they are awake most often, is at night. And that's when they hunt most often, is at night. And so they're used to traveling through the dark, right? And so it's a natural way of being able to assist us if we call on them to help us to bring, to face our fears and to bring our shadow self into the light. Whatever aspect that we're healing and understanding about ourselves, our shadow self, right? Yeah. And I like that part when they said that the shadow is actually a gift and it's nothing to be ashamed about, because we all have it. We all have the shadow. Why? Because we're here on earth. It's a school of polarity and duality. Yeah. And then an owl will actually call us out as well, especially when if you're misusing your power, your gifts in any way. Owl will point it out to you quickly. Hey, Judy's here too. Hello, Judy. Also, picking up a feather means good luck. Yes, it does. It does. I'm not near to try it. Okay. All right. Well, when you do, just let us know. Clue us in. All right. Owl. Yeah. I think I told you guys a story, didn't I? Shared with you that it was, let's see, we moved in 2006. It must have been 2004 or 5. I had a friend of mine. She was actually a client, started out as a client, ended up as being a friend, where we used to live. And I think it was like Christmas Eve, if I remember right, Christmas Eve. And she called me and asked me if I was going to be available if I was home because she had a gift for me and that she wanted to make sure that either Paul or I were home to receive it. And I said, sure, come on over. And she tells me the story that when she got up that morning to open her drapes, there was a great horned owl that had got caught up in their feeders and basically died, right? Trying to get out. So it was kind of sad, you know. And she's telling me this, and she goes, and I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with it. I don't think that it's. She goes, I think that we need to, do something special for it. And so anyway, her husband brought it over to us, and I took some of the feathers, right? Gave him one of the feathers, and we did a ceremony for the horned owl because that is my birth totem, and they're very big. They're very very big birds, and they're heavier than what they look. Yeah, and so that was a very special gift that she gave to me, and and I had never seen one up close like that before. And talk about when I lifted it up and it's in my hands. Now, mind you, it had already walked on. It was dead. And when I put it in my hands, I could feel the life force still in it and still moving. It was still pretty strong, right? And so that was quite an experience to have. Um, yeah, great horned owl. They're big birds, very big. And we actually had, on occasion, we'll hear owls hooting here in our little neck of the woods here. In fact, when Teresa, one of my sisters, was here the last time, it was hooting. Yeah. Judy says, I have varied collection of feathers. Me too. Me too. And they come to me in the most interesting ways sometimes. We talk about Cooper's hawk, Rob. We had a Cooper's hawk mating pair here a few years ago. And I'm sitting in our sun porch talking to a client on the phone. And all of a sudden, and we'd seen the hawks flying around. They're very interesting how they fly in between the trees and stuff. But anyway, I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, there's a whole bunch of blue feathers that are blowing by in the wind. The Cooper's hawk took out a blue jay. And so I went out and gave tobacco for the blue jay, and technically, that's a life cycle, right? But here I am picking up blue jay feathers out there. Crane feathers, same thing. Crane feathers. In our old where we used to live in the backfield, you could see it from our back door. The cranes would land in the field, and I was watching them, and I was saying, "Oh, it'd be so nice, if you could gift me a feather, I really would appreciate it, right?" And I was walking our dog out there, and sure enough, there was a feather there, and so I put down tobacco for it. I took that one. Turkey vulture feathers. Over at Great Lakes Retreat in Olivet, Michigan. I saw a bee fly by. There's a bee in here. Olivet, Michigan. They have roosting trees by the gymnasium. And I was taking a walk around, right? And I found it. I was drawn there. And so I was watching the vultures sun themselves. That's where they get the thunderbird, because they have their wings out, right? Sunning and trying to get the dew off from themselves. But there were so many feathers back there on the ground. And so I'm putting down tobacco and took a couple of feathers. And so, yeah, they come to us in the most interesting ways, don't they? Yeah. Judy says, just saved a sparrow hung up in my trellis. I know. It's kind of a, yeah. Blue jays can be aggressive. It takes some time to take one out. I know. The thing is, Rob, it was silent because I had the windows open, right? I never heard a peep, not a squawk, not a nothing. All I saw was blue feathers flying by in the wind. Yeah, not a peep. All right, here's the second, the second card, and this is really interesting. Pipe carrier. Pipe carrier. And here is where I feel we really get a sense of the author's blending of his people. Right where my finger is, that is a tobacco leaves that are twisted, that they dry them that way, okay? And then next to it is a chanupa, a sacred pipe. There's rabbit skin there. It's decorated, right? It's got feathers, beadwork on it. Let's see if we can get the beadwork in there. Here's the beadwork. Very Great Plains kind of design, right? Pipe carrier. So what is a pipe carrier? A pipe carrier. A pipe carrier, depending on the tradition, is someone who obviously carries a sacred pipe. They've done something to, we're going to put it in air quotes, earn, right? The gift of picking up the pipe medicine. In other words, there was a pipe that was given to them, usually done in ceremony. But it depends on the nation. Those indigenous people who are of the Great Plains on the west side of the Mississippi, they don't use this kind of tobacco in their pipes. They use something that they do call tobacco, but it's not the tobacco leaves like this. They use willow bark, and it's called conchacha. And so that's what they use in their sacred pipes. They don't use the kind of tobacco that the woodland Native Americans, indigenous people use. Okay? Not for that purpose anyway. Those that are in the Great Plains, they do use tobacco, but not for the use in their pipes, right? Yeah. We do use this kind of tobacco in our pipe ceremonies here, east of the Mississippi. Not necessarily with the pipestone pipes. Many times it's a pipe that is made out of wood, and it might have a shorter stem on it. Not necessarily the long stems that you would typically see with a chanupa. And the word chanupa is a Lakota word. And so to be a pipe carrier, you've done something for others, not necessarily for yourself, but others. Many times it has to do with compassion, empathy, courage. Yeah. And so the person who becomes the pipe carrier is literally, the pipes are usually used in healing work, in prayer work. And so there's a whole bunch of stuff that you have to know to be a pipe carrier to do it correctly. Even the way you carry it makes a difference. Yeah, so the pipe carrier, they use the pipe to send prayers, and they can use it for themselves, but generally speaking, they usually work on behalf of someone else. So somebody calls them and says that they're not feeling well, or maybe they have a relative that's getting ready to walk on or has walked on, and they call the pipe carrier and could you send prayers, right? And so yeah, and there is a spirit that resides within the pipe. Much like there's a spirit that resides in every drum, there's a spirit that resides in the pipe. Although not all pipes have a spirit in it. Right? Yeah. It also carries the energy of the person who made the pipe as well. So, you're to go to a store or to order it offline and then call yourself a pipe carrier, that really doesn't have the deep meaning that it does for somebody who was gifted the pipe, and the pipe was made by a specific person, right? Because there's prayers that go into that pipe, and that spirit is in that pipe as it goes in as they're making it. And so it's not something that you can just decide that you're going to be a pipe carrier. Yeah. That's Rob saying. He says, I've seen red wings hassle hawks on walks before. They are very territorial. Yes, they are. Starlings are too. The smaller it seems, the more aggressive they can be. Tabitha says, we had a hummingbird get their leg stuck in a chime. I had to use a towel to cover it to get it loose so it could fly away. Well, good for you, Tabitha. Really, it takes some courage to do it. And then to be able to hopefully you had somebody helping you, right? So you could hold the bird and somebody is doing the detangling of it, or the cutting of the fish line usually. I don't know. Yeah, I've heard of more birds getting caught in bird feeders that are hanging from with string or with fishing line, right? Yeah. Okay, here's the pipe. All right, it says, know that your first, wait a second. Jeez, don't. All right. Know that your first gift is to yourself to find time to meditate and reconnect with your true gifts. Okay. So to go into the quiet. For you, this could mean going on a retreat or seeking guidance from the spirit world. For some others, it may mean a 4-day vision quest without food or water. The pipe also asks you for commitments, taking responsibility and seeing things through. It says, I give you this pure tobacco, used with respect. It will not harm you. Take a pinch of it in your hand, breathe in prayers into it, and sprinkle it on Mother Earth as an offering. Your prayers will be answered. So tobacco. Tobacco is one of the 4 sacred plants that was given to the indigenous people here on Turtle Island. And tobacco is that energy exchange between us and spirit when we're making a request, right? Making a prayer, asking for help, or asking for blessings. It's an energy exchange. Um, Tobacco feeds the spirit. Tobacco feeds the spirit. It has such a high frequency, a high vibration, that the spirit, it's almost like craving it, right? Because I even feed my drums. I feed my drums tobacco, just a little pinch for them, and gratitude and appreciation for everything that they brought into my life. And we're going to be doing some work together, prayer work or healing work or meditation. And I sprinkle a little tobacco on the drum head, and then we start to play, right? Um, so tobacco feeds the spirit. They can't, because they're spirit. They're not tangible, right? They don't have a way of growing it and drying it and getting it prepared for ceremony. So when we offer it to them in exchange for, right, um, they're very happy about it, very, very happy, because they're being fed. So tobacco, it's something that I grew up with. For the longest time when I was a kid, I thought everybody gave tobacco because I saw it all the time. My mom is the one who taught us, her children, how to give tobacco, at a very young age. A very young age. It was probably maybe 6, something like that, when I was giving my own tobacco. Um, and so she wanted to make sure that her children knew how to do the ceremony, so that, and in the event that she wasn't able to or wasn't with us, that we would be able to take care of ourselves, right? Taught us how to wash dishes and do laundry and cook a meal, and for me, do sewing and beadwork and all of that. But she also wanted to make sure that we knew how to give tobacco. That's how important it is that a parent would make the time to teach. Exactly, Rob. Buying a pipe off the internet or out of a store is like buying a black belt. Exactly. Yeah. There's not, the meaning is diluted, right? The meaning is diluted. Yeah, because everything is done in ceremony. And if you don't know the ceremonies, how can you ensure that there's a spirit within that pipe? Yeah. So how do we look at these two together, these two cards together, the message, right? With Owl coming in and basically saying, I'm here in your dream times, bringing you messages during your dream time. Um, it's also telling us about how, with their medicine, that we can discern the truth, right? Discern a truth. What is true and what is false. And because of their medicine, they fly silent. And so it's important for us to be able to go into the silence, to do the meditations, to spend time in the quiet. And if we're doing shadow work, is to be able to call on them, to be able to address those issues that are coming up with our shadow selves. So, when I show you the cards, one of the things that we learned in this last year and a half, basically, of doing this live stream show is that we need to be grounded, and we need to have our spiritual team come to us, our full team, so that when we see the cards together, that we're able to take in, in an optimal way, in an optimal amount of the information coming from the essence or the spirit of the cards, right? And when we're grounded and centered, we can take in quite a bit of information. So if you haven't done your grounding today, before I show the cards, just pause for a moment and do your grounding and your centering, whatever method that you use. And I'll give you a moment to do that before we show both the cards, okay? So with the grounding, I'm going to keep chatting a bit while those that need to do their grounding or have the time to do that. So with the grounding, the grounding, there's only a couple of techniques or methods that will last longer than 24 hours. Most of the techniques last a good 12 hours for sure. And so you need to be able to do it at least twice a day in order to make sure that you're grounded and balanced. And you can also add your protection in there as well. And they say that it's about 12 hours because it depends on what we ingest, okay? And it's just not food. It's whatever we bring into our bodies. So it could be music, it could be something that you watched on television or video. It can be food, it can be thoughts. And so the lower the vibration, it tends to weaken the field faster. And so it kind of looks like Swiss cheese during the 12th hour. And so in order to be completely, to be grounded and to be protected and centered or balanced, after that 12 hours, it's good to do it again. And it feels good. It feels good. Okay. All right. So calling your team to you, your entire team, taking a nice deep breath in, and on the exhale, taking in the essence of the cards, right? Both the seen and unseen information. As our cards yesterday told us, our inner and outer vision. Right? That owl comes to us today to make the suggestion that we take the opportunity to pay attention to our dreams and to call on owl medicine if you're doing shadow work, to bring that aspect of yourself out into the light, to learn what you need to learn from it, because it is a gift. To help us with our discernment, that if you have something, a choice to make, or someone is bringing you information, is to call on Owl to help you to discern what is truth. That connection between your higher self and your conscious self. And the pipe carrier comes in to support the owl's medicine, is that to be grateful, to appreciate the assistance that we get from spirit, from the owl in this case, by offering tobacco to feed the spirit in that energy exchange. And that the sacred pipe, whether you're a pipe carrier or not, there's a blessing in there, because those pipes are meant for peace and harmony, love, compassion, empathy. Right? So that we're using our gifts, using our powers in a good way, for good medicine. Yeah. That the energy of these two, of our relatives, allies are bringing you a kind of medicine that is fine-tuning your gifts, your intuition, whether you're clairaudient, because owls hear very, very well, extremely well, and they have such keen sight as well, because they can see in the dark. Your clairvoyance. Okay. All right. There. Wow. So we got to be thankful to owl and to tobacco as they bring their medicine to us today. It's kind of nice, huh? Yeah. It's kind of interesting to talk about owl medicine, to share about that information coming from owl. So I wanted to share something else with you, but first of all, I want to finish up the owl medicine, those things. So my suggestion that if the information, the conversation that we had today, any of it resonated with you, is to embrace it, bring it close, right? And watch and see how today's energy unfolds around you and where this information can be helpful, right? Yeah, and if it didn't resonate, that's okay. Don't worry about it. We still have Thursday cards to go through. So maybe there'll be something there for you. And, and I always say just about every day is that if you watch this entire thing and you say, geez, it doesn't do anything for me, perhaps you're the messenger and that you know someone or others that would benefit or they're searching for information like this, and you can share the recorded show with them, right? And then you're done. You've done your deed. And so I wanted to share with you about some things that are coming up for Star Nations, some interesting things. But first of all, let's cover tonight. Holly Jo LeBay, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Her show tonight is all about divine healing and messages. And so if you have something that you've been working on, you would like to take it into a sacred space, right? To heal and to release, tonight would be the night for that. If you are an energy worker and you keep putting yourself lower on the list and haven't gotten to your own healing work, this is a good night for you too, because you bring your intentions and your spiritual team in with you. And Holly Jo and her team, what they do is they create the sacred space. They hold that for us. And when we're ready to release, if we're having any challenges with that, Holly Jo and her team are there to help us. And Holly Jo leads the meditation, the guided meditation. So she helps us with it, okay? That's tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And she's going to do card draws too. So if you're interested in that, it's become one of the favored shows around here. You'll even see a lot of the show hosts in the chat getting cards drawn for them too. And then on Thursday, right after our show, the Spiritual Roundtable on Thursday, is Maureen Mann's show, Angel Therapy. And Angel Therapy is about, passed it up, is about healing the heart. Right? And so how the angels can help us in healing our heart, our emotional trauma around our heart. Right? And also, I almost forgot, this afternoon, Nature Adventures with my co-host, Minnie Kansman, and I. Minnie is still settling into her new home over in Colorado. And so we're going to do another replay today. It's called The Poets of Nature. And it's one of our favorite ones. We've never done a show like this, and we had so much fun pulling together the information and then chatting about it. And so it's one of our favorite ones. And so I hope you'll join us in that. I'll post that right after this show. I'll get it up so that you guys can see the replay. Okay. So there we go. Now I want to talk to you and share a little bit about my show next week, Communications from Home, on Tuesday, August 27th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time is Communications from Home. And the reason I'm even mentioning it right now is because I have a special guest. We spoke this morning, and I got her lined up for next week, next Tuesday. I would normally do the last Tuesday of every month. I normally do the guided meditation, the Unity Breath, right? But we're going to have a guest tomorrow night because it's the night that she's free. Unity Breath meditation will get moved to the following week on September 3rd. Okay, so my guest's name next week is Mary Delott. Mary Delott. Mary is a crystal skull carrier. She is one of the people who takes care of, is the caregiver, caretaker of a crystal skull called Omni. Let's see, I hope I pronounced that right. Yeah. Omni. Omani, that's it, because it's part of the Omani Padme Om. It's the jewel of the heart mantra is where it gets its name. And so she's coming to chat with us about her work with the crystal skulls and also about peace There's a conference that she is one of the main facilitators for, and it's a conference that's coming up. It's called the Crystal Skull Unification Conference in Illinois. Wadsworth, I think it is, if I remember right. I'll have to get the name for it. It's right outside of Gurnee, about 6 or 7 miles outside of Gurnee, Illinois. This conference is taking place on September 18th and 19th. And so she's going to come and she's going to share with us. But she has a fascinating story. She's actually been to Colombia, and she has met Kogi Mamos. Kogi is you've heard me speak of Kogi Mamos. Kogi are an indigenous people that live in the mountains in Chile and in Colombia. And the Mamos means it's their holy people. It is their shamans. It's their medicine people. Okay. And so she has met with them and spent time with them. And so she's going to come and she's going to share her work and also how her work leads up to this conference that is turning out to be a lot about water. So I hope you can join me. It's going to be a really good, insightful conversation. I tell you what, it was so much fun talking to her this morning. So that's August 27th at 8 p.m. with Mary Delott. Mary Delott. She is a crystal skull carrier of Omni Padme Omni. I'm going to get that right before Tuesday. So with that, please enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Hopefully we'll see you in the live chat tonight for Soul Connections with Polly Joe. But enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. for the Spiritual Roundtable. And we'll see what Spirit has to say tomorrow. Okay? All right. With that, Bama Mina. You know what that means. Until we see each other again. Love you guys.